Hello mathematicians, here is the video for home connections 121 and 122. Number 1, Josie is putting a fence around her rectangular yard. One dimension measures 24 feet, the other dimension is twice as long. What is the perimeter? I find that drawing a picture is extremely helpful in problems like this. So go ahead and draw a rectangle where one side is about twice as long as the other. And I know that one side is 24 feet because they told me. And the other dimension is twice as long. So that must mean 24 plus 24 is 48. That means the other dimension must be 48. The actual question says, what is the perimeter? Perimeter is the distance around the shape. Say it with me. Perimeter is the distance around the shape. So we need to add 48 plus 48 and 24 plus 24 and put it all together. And that will be the perimeter of the whole yard. Okay. I know that 48 plus 48 is 96. And then I could do it in a couple of steps. I could do then the other sides, 24 and 24, which is 48. And then, of course, the final thing will be to put all the sides together. Some people will add all four numbers up at the same time, or you could split it up into two separate steps like this. Either one is fine. So now I'm going to add both numbers together, and that will be the length of all four sides. 144. Say plain perimeter. It's just going to be plain feet because perimeter is just the length of things put together. So it's just going to be plain feet. Number 2, if Josie puts grass in her yard, how many square feet of grass should she buy? When I say area, you say square area. Area. If we're talking about the grass on the inside, that means this is an area question. And now that we know the dimensions, right? 48 is the long side, 24 is the short side. Now we can multiply them together to get the area, length times width. So 48 times 24. And we're going to do the traditional method. There's other ways you could do it, of course, but I'm going to show the traditional method that we've been doing. So first we're going to do 4 times 8, then 4 times 4. 4 times 8 is 32. 4 times 4 is 16, plus 3 is 19. Cross that out because I used it. Now we're going to multiply everything on the top by that 2, but that 2 is not really a 2. That 2 is a 20, so we have to put a 0 in the ones place, and that'll bump everything over to where it should be. So now we're going to do 2 times 8 and 2 times 4. 2 times 8 is 16. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9. And the last step is to add it all together. So the answer is 1,152. One more time. When I say area, you say square area. Area. So if it's the area, I know it's not feet, it's square feet. Okay, number 3. Sean measured his rectangular patio and determined that the area was 216, and he remembered that one dimension was 9 feet. What is the other dimension? So this is finding area, but backward. What's the opposite of multiplication? Division. So if we multiply length times width to find area, if they give you the area and you have to work backward, we're going to divide. I think I'm going to draw a picture because I think it will be helpful soon. So I know that one dimension is 9 feet, and the area is 216 square feet. And we're trying to find the length of the other side. In order to do that, we need to do a division problem. The area divided by the length of one side will give us the length of the other side. So 216 divided by 9. 9 cannot go into 2, but 9 can go into 21 2 times. multiply, and bring down the 6. 9 goes into 36 exactly 4 times. So that means that the length of the other side is 24. And I think I'll write it right down underneath the question. 24 feet. Letter B, I think this will be helpful, our picture. Letter B, what's the perimeter? And to find the perimeter, you do need both of the dimensions. So we knew one was 9, and we just figured out that the other one was 24. So to find the perimeter, we need to do 24 plus 9 plus 24 plus 9, right? All 4 sides added together. The first question was about area. The second question is about perimeter. So I'm going to do 24 plus 24. I'm going to add those 2 long sides together first. And I know that 9 plus 9, the 2 short sides, is 18. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and add 18 right to it. And that will be the length of all 4 sides put together. And if it's perimeter, say plain perimeter. Plain perimeter. So it's just 66 feet. So the area was 216 square feet, and the perimeter is just 66 feet. 2 different measurements with 2 different answers and 2 different labels. Okay, on to the back. Number 4. Raphael and his sister each drew a rectangle on their driveway. The dimensions of Raphael's rectangle are 16 by 24, and the sister's rectangle was 18 by 22. Whose rectangle has the larger area? So we have to do 2 multiplication problems to figure this out. All right, so I think I'm going to draw it. Raphael, and then we'll do his sister. Okay, so his dimensions were 16 by 24, and her dimensions were 18 by 22. So first I'm going to do Raphael's multiplication. 24 times 16. I feel like a little more space would have been nice, but we'll make it work. I'm going to do 6 times 4, then 6 times 2. 6 times 4 is 24. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 2 more is 14. And now I'm going to work with that 1, but that 1 is really a 10, so don't forget to put a 0 in there. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 2 is 2. Add it together. So Raphael has an area of 384 square inches, right? Area, square area. The sister, I need to do a multiplication problem with her dimensions. And I think it's going to be close. 24 is bigger than 22, but 18 is bigger than 16, so I feel like it's going to be close. All right. 8 times 2, then 8 times 2. 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 2 is 16, plus 1 is 17. Put a 0 in. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 2 is 2. Add them together. (396 square inches). So, whose rectangle has the larger area? Remember, this was Raphael, and this was the sister. And what's bigger, 384 or 396? 396, right? So, did they just call her the sister? Yeah. So the answer, the sister. By how much? That's a subtraction problem. We're going to take the sister's number minus Raphael's number, and that will tell us by how much more her rectangle, right? How much bigger the area was in her rectangle. 12. So it's bigger by 12 square inches. Whose rectangle, oh my goodness, has a larger perimeter? Now we need to do 2 things. Perimeter for the brother, perimeter for the sister, which is a totally different measurement than area, okay? So Raphael's numbers, I'm looking at my blue rectangle. I need to do 24 plus 24 plus 16 plus 16. 24 plus 24 plus 16 plus 16. So I'm showing it in a lot of ways. You don't have to add it all together. You could do it in 2 separate steps like we've done. That would be 20. And remember, perimeter is plain perimeter. So it's just plain inches. So Raphael's number, his perimeter was 80 inches. And the sister, all 4 sides, would be 22 plus 22 plus 18 plus 18. Oh my goodness. They both have the exact same perimeter. So whose rectangle has the larger perimeter? Both are the same. This was a great question. A lot of work needed to be done. They both have the same perimeter. And finally, number 5, the challenge. Daria and Lewis both drew rectangles. Daria's rectangle has an area of 180, and one of the dimensions is 12. Lewis's rectangle has a perimeter of 48, and one of the dimensions is 13. What is the perimeter of Daria's? What's the area of Lewis's? Let's just focus on Daria, okay? So we need this information for Daria. Okay? It should have said square inches here. That was a misprint. So let's go ahead and draw Daria. Well, let's draw her rectangle. It has an area of 180 square inches, and one of the dimensions is 12. What's the opposite of multiplication? Division. So we just need to do a division problem. So we're going to take the area divided by one of the dimensions, and it will give us the other dimension. The only thing that's difficult about dividing by 12 is that you might not know your facts of 12 as well as you know your facts of 4. Can 12 fit into 1? Hopefully you know that. No, but 12 can fit into 18 one time. Multiply 1 times 12 is 12. Subtract, bring down. 12 can fit into 60 5 times. 5 times 12 is 60. So that means that the other dimension is 15. 15 inches. And it's just plain inches because it was the length. Oh, wait, what's the perimeter? Wait a minute. Mrs. Judson has to do one more step. There we go. I'm glad I read that question again. The other dimension is 15. Now that I know the other dimension, now I can find the perimeter. 15 plus 15 plus 12 plus 12. 15 plus 15 is 30, and 12 plus 12 is 24. All together, that's 54 inches. So I did it a little bit faster because I knew that 15 plus 15 was 30, and 12 plus 12 was 24. So I added them together like that. 54, just plain inches. Say plain perimeter. Okay, letter B. I don't need any of Daria's information. Now I just need Lewis's information. What's the area of Lewis's rectangle? Let's see. Lewis's rectangle has a perimeter of 48. Gosh, these are such good questions. Okay, here's Lewis's rectangle. It has a perimeter of 48 inches. And one of the dimensions is 13 inches. And I'm wondering what the other dimension is, because I'll need that to figure out the area. Okay, if the perimeter is 48, to figure out everything, let's add what we know. If the top is 13, then the bottom must also be 13. And let's add that up. Some of you probably already know that 13 and 13 together is 26. Now let's take our total perimeter minus 26, and that will give us what we have left to work with. 22. So does that mean that the left is 22 and the right is 22? No, that means that the left and right equal 22 altogether. So let's cut 22 in half. So that means the left side is 11 and the right side is 11. Oh my goodness, one more step, because the question doesn't ask what the dimension is. The question asks, what is the area? But to find the area, we needed to know that that other dimension was 11. So now to find the area, as our last final step, we're going to take the length of one side, 13, and multiply it by the length of the other side, and that will give us the area. 1 times 3, then 1 times 1. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 1 is 1. Put it 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 1 is 1. Add them together. There, finally, is our answer. It's area. When I say area, you say squarea. Area. Area. So the area, after finding out the other dimension, we were able to find the area is 143 square inches. Here are the answers for page 1. And here are the answers to page 2, or page 121 and 122. All right, kids, I will see you in class.